The important part, I think, when we played as youngsters, the coaching aspect was totally different than what it is now. Because, I think when I was a kid and during my younger days, it was more instruction based. A lot of instructions were given as to how to get about playing your cover drives, how to get about focusing on your defenses, play in the V as straight as possible, nothing across the line. So the coaches were very instructive in that aspect, and obviously they were good motivators. The good part about that is they were good motivators. They were very inspiring, and which was good. And I think I think the most important focus was they worked on basics. I think for any youngster or any young coming in any cricketer who's coming up, I think our coaches what they did was. They made sure that the basics are very strong, and I think once the foundation of any cricketer is strong, it becomes that much easier. I think to progress in the when you play higher level of cricket. I think that transition of coaching was very good. Obviously, later on, when you play first class cricket, higher level of you become a professional, you realize that you have become a professional. The coaching pattern changes. There is less inputs, in the sense there are more observers. If there is a change to be made in your technical aspect, it is done in a subtle way so that we don't change the game completely.
We grew up in that era where Guru was everything for us. For me, Acharya sir was be all and end all. But as Sairaj said, things have changed. We have moved on from the 70s and the 80s. We have come here now in the new millennium, and I think days have changed. The concept of coaching has changed from the Guru-Shishya relationship, where it was more coach-centric. Now it is more player-centric coaching, I feel. And it has come up with that. I think coaching has completely changed. It is more player-centric. It is more player-focused right now. Back then, it was just whatever we heard, we grabbed it with both hands. We tried to, at least we tried to. I think you can't compare two things. Well, I've been a part of Rajasthan Royals for the last 3 years now. This is my third year, and I've been a part of the dressing room as a coach with the Netherlands and with the South African team lately in the Test series. So international cricket and IPL. You can't compare that. But having said that, I would like to say that IPL is a beast of a tournament. I always say that. I mean, nothing can compare to IPL because it's a robust tournament. You just get into it, and you can feel the energy. You can feel the quality around in the dressing room is second to none. Got international players, and sometimes you have established Indian players and some upcoming superb talent. So nothing compared to the IPL. Yes, I've been a part of the South African dressing room, which was really driven by data and analysis and thorough preparation. And I was really keen and really happy to be a part of that dressing room as well, because I got to see a different side of the spectrum. Rajasthan Royals, we've got a great setup, and it's been a fantastic ride so far for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I feel adding to what Amol has said, that IPL is obviously it's a shorter term, in the sense less days compared to if you're coaching a state team. Like I've been a part of the Bengal team, Gujarat team at the moment currently. IPL is obviously a shorter format, so you got to be very specific when it comes to coaching. It has to be the clarity has to be there as to what you want to, how you want to get about it. So there are things like we have these isolated nets, isolated practice, then we have nets, then we have these match simulations. All sorts of things are done during IPL, but that too it is constraint based, because the amount of matches being played are more, the travel is a lot, and all sorts. There's a buzz going on in the IPL, whereas in a Gujarat or a state team in India, you get that much longer time, because we have the pre-season where you get enough time to really know the players, connect to them. And also, we have these fitness camps going on. So they prepare themselves for the coming season, and then once the season starts, so they play the Ranji Trophy, the one dayers, and the T20. So yes, it's got its own challenges. It's got its own sort of difference, but it's really interesting. I think when you're doing IPL, it's obviously international players. The standard of cricket is absolutely amazing. The highly skilled players involved. The elite players, and the way they perform and the work ethics is amazing. So, and obviously, in a state environment, they are developing. They're aspiring to be those international players, or they see the domestic guys playing so well at that IPL level. They want to be there. They want to go there.
The biggest challenge, as a batting coach, is that all 11, or rather all 20, whoever is there in the squad, are my batting squad. I cannot cater just to 3 or 4 or 7 or 8 of them. You just have to make sure that all 20 are ready for it, because you never know which player would be needed when in the tournament. There have been several instances where a couple of players have left for to play international cricket, and then suddenly one player had to get in or chip in. But you, as a coach, you need to make sure that you got to think ahead of the game, not the game which is in hand. Of course, that is important, but you got to also keep thinking about the games ahead. 3-4 games down the line, what's going to happen? You got to judge. You got to make a judgment, and it has to be a precise judgment. And there have been instances where you had to get in a player, but as a coach, you need to make sure that he is game ready by giving him enough time in the nets, enough time in his preparation, enough time to his mental side. Try and motivate him, trying to keep him in a correct space of that is a crucial part as far as I'm concerned. And a big challenge is that it's not just 4 or 5 or 7 or 8. It's all 20 or even all 25 are my batting squad, because everybody believes that they can bat.
From the spinners point of view, when we have such fantastic bowlers in Shreyas Gopal, we have Mayank Markande, and we have Tewatia coming in. Rian is there. And obviously Steve also can bowl his leg spinners whenever needed. So I think for me is important to keep them in a good space of mind. I think more than the skills, in a time like IPL, it is more of mind management more than anything else. Yes, the physical aspect also has to be looked into because of the travel and the fatigueness what they do, because they are traveling every day. They are playing the every next day. So I think important part is the mind management. I think if you want to succeed, I think you have to succeed in your mind. And once you have that thought giving it to the spinners, then it becomes much more easier.
We are data driven at the moment. It's a technology world. Every day we need to we find something really new coming up in this world, and everyone is trying to be one step ahead as far as technology is concerned. So as a coach and as a coaching unit, you need to be aware of certain things. And Rajasthan Royals, I'm glad that we have adopted few things, especially in batting. I have adopted the straight bat technology, which we have used. We did use it in the last year's IPL camps. I remember here in Mumbai. It's a microchip which goes on to the back of the bat, which is hardly any weight on it, so that it doesn't change the weight of the bat that much of a particular player, because every player has got his own weight of the bat which he's comfortable with. And you don't want, the last thing you want is to give him something which he would be distracted by and which he would feel uncomfortable with. So the straight bat is sort of a microchip which goes on behind the bat, and it is almost weightless, you can say.
Well, in the RR camps, so I think from the last 2 years, we've been using this catapult. It's I think for the audience to know what exactly it is. It's like a pod which is put into a vest, and that vest is put by the players inside the t-shirt. Basically, what it does is it monitors it. It basically just tracks the workload of a player. How many kilometers they have run during nets, how many kilometers they've done in the match. A lot of information is then obviously John Gloucester, who's our head physio, can monitor that. He knows exactly how much workload how much work they've put in, how much they need. The recovery is the important part. So how much time do they need to recover? So all this is looked after by John Gloucester really well, and I think he does a fantastic job at that.
I think it is a little more than that. I would say 60% of you've got to be mentally very very correct about it, and good space of good space you've got to be in. The form is important. How you're feeling is important. That takes care of 60% of it. And I feel technique and yeah, it plays a little 30% part of it, so that's 90%. And I feel then your instincts and your temperament takes over. So I feel temperament 10%, technique 30%, and 60% of the things that you have between your ears. Times have changed. You've got to be bolder in your approach. You've got to be aggressive in your mindset. When I say when you go for those aggressive shots, when you go for those high risk shots, I would say try and be consistent in whatever you're doing, because the name of the game is being consistent. If you can put that ball out of the park 8 out of 10 times, I will not question you at all. But if you're doing it 2 out of 10 times and you're getting out 8 times, then probably you'll have to rethink the way you are hitting it, what kind of approach you need to have to clear it more consistent on a consistent basis. So I think it all depends on your success ratio. If you can hit that ball again, I'll repeat it, 8 out of 10 times, then nobody can question it. But if you're doing it 2 out of 10 times, there is something wrong in it. You need to rethink your strategy. And about innovation, this game is this new game, this T20 cricket, IPL, or any T20 cricket all over the world. I think that it's about innovation. It's about finding a method, finding a way out. If you can scoop that ball, getting in and chipping it over the short fine leg fielder, or if you can hit it over the keeper, or if you can reverse flick it, by all means do it. Don't hesitate. A lot of times, I will repeat this, a lot of times you tend to hit that shot if you are convinced to hit it. In your mind, you need to be 110% sure that I'm going to hit that one. 8 out of 10 times you hit that one. But if you're not sure about it, if you're still thinking about it, then you will not execute it properly. The execution happens only when you're convinced and you are absolutely certain about it.
For me, I think fitness is crucial. Over the time, fitness has been the most important thing in cricket. Ever since I think Virat has probably come into and changed this entire concept of fitness, it has rubbed down everywhere, and obviously it has come to all the youngsters, which is good. But as a spinner, as a leg spinner, you should have the capacity to be bowling at least 30 to 40 overs a day if you're playing a longer version. And then as obviously if you're playing a one day or a T20, the number of overs are less. But I think fitness, match fitness is I think most important. If you can do a lot of fitness in the off season, if you need cardio exercises, if you want to improve your cardiovascular stuff, you can do that. If you want to improve on your strength, you can do that. But I think there is a time for it. And once you get into the period where you are into a match situation, you have to just manage it. and not push yourself to an extent where skill level drops down, and then how much ever fitness you've done in the pre-season, you've become stronger. When it comes to the games, if you're not in a position to bowl that many overs with that much of intensity, that much of purposefulness, then I think that entire fitness is wasted. So I think, answering your question, there has to be a balance. Fitness is important, very crucial. That is the base, that is the foundation. But obviously, I would advise you to take professional help, because as a leg spinner, there are lots of things involved when it comes to the release point, when the bowling action and all that. So I think you got to be fit, you got to be strong.
See, again, it's a very individualistic approach that I take. Of course, the international players come in, they chip in, they do have their own setup. They know their games really well. They're established players. When they come in, you just, as a coach, you've got to be observant of what kind of a routine he goes through. This is my approach. Maybe Sairaj has got a different approach, but what I do is I observe his routines initially. What he goes through right from the time that he gets into the ground. What is his routine? What does he like to do? Whether he likes to do fielding first and then get into batting mode, or whether he likes to bat first and then get into the fielding mode. All simple things, small things. Where he keeps his bag, what kind of an approach he has while batting, when he bats for the first 5 minutes, whether he's aggressive or he's trying to get his eye in at that time. So all those things you've got to be observant for the first at least 4 or 5 days, where you get to know that player really well. Eyes open, ears open, mouth shut at that time. This is my approach when anybody comes in. When the international players come in and when the domestic players come in, each player has got his own ritual that he follows, and you got to be very observant at that time. And then eventually, when you want to come in, when you want to have a rapport with him, you try and hit a rapport with that particular player, try and win the trust of that particular player, and only then he will open out.